हेलो एंड अ वेरी वार्म वेलकम टू ऑल ऑफ यू। आप सभी का फिर से स्वागत है हमारे चैनल इंडियन मास कम्युनिकेशन में। डियर स्टूडेंट्स, दिस इज़ गोइंग टू बी इन कंटिन्यूशन टू आवर लास्ट क्लास। सो व्हाट वी आर डूइंग, वी आर रिवाइजिंग द मीडिया थ्योरी यूनिट एंड आई होप यू ऑल आर डूइंग वेल। आप सबकी तैयारी बहुत अच्छे से चल रही है। काइंडली डू लेट मी नो वेदर आई एम ऑडिबल, देयर इज़ नो टेक्निकल ग्लिच, देन वी शिल स्टार्ट। So if you are new to my channel, my name is Tushar Goyal. I am a PhD research scholar at Center for Media Studies, JNU. If you have not yet subscribed, consider subscribing to our channel. You will find a lot of lectures. There are more than 200 free lectures on our channel. It's open access to all of you. Okay. And there is also an e-learning application and website. If you wish, if you want some test series or e-content, you can check the links. Okay. So moving forward, we have with us Priyam, good morning. Sudeshna, good morning. Bidhan, good morning. Shruti, good morning. Nandita, and I can see few other people are also joining. So a very good morning. I hope you all have revised whatever we have learnt in the last class. हमने जितने भी concepts पढ़े थे, जितनी भी theories पढ़ी थी, सारी chronologies, important books, उनके authors, ठीक है. So dear students, this is more of रिविजनरी वीडियो, ठीक है. हम रिवाइज कर रहे हैं जो हम ऑलरेडी पढ़ चुके हैं. सो आई एज्यूम जो हम रोज़ करते हैं आप उसको ऑलरेडी रिवाइज करते हो, बिकॉज ओनली 12 days आर लेफ्ट इन योर एग्जाम. ओके, सो अ स्मॉल रिकॉल. वी स्टार्टेड विद the idea of mass media as an emerging institution in the late 19th century. We discussed about the concept of mass society, okay, which led to a lot of assumptions about this emerging institution, how it was bringing about a lot of disruptive change. Then in early 20th century there were events like World War I, where it was found that media was actually very powerful. Some instances, or like let's say when we look at Germany, Nazi Germany, and other things, so media was being used as a propaganda tool. People like Walter Lippmann, Harold Laswell, they started doing research. Okay, they started doing positivist research. They started observing things, and they found that media had a very direct effect on how people thought. It actually influenced their opinions. It influenced the way they think. Okay, then we also looked at a new trend or a new wave during that time, which was critical theory, which was emerging in Germany only, in Frankfurt School in 1920s 30s, where people like Adorno, Horkheimer, Walter Benjamin, Herbert Marcuse, they were looking at culture as an industry, where all these cultural artifacts such as films, advertisements, they were being produced in a factory line of production. We discussed about the characteristics of culture industry, where the products were standardized. All the films looked like alike, they were same. Then hegemony, okay, all those things, it led to a lot of other school of thoughts like feminist theory, later culturalist theory also. Then in 1940 we found that there were another set of scholars, okay, which also started studying the effect of media, which was related to political science. So let's say the study conducted by Paul Lazarsfeld on 1940 American election, okay, where they found that media was not that powerful. There were other elements like the element of opinion leaders, okay, or let's say people like Carl Hovland, who were doing research on let's say how people get influenced. So the very important example of that documentary in American Army, okay, so he came up with the idea of sleeper effect. इट्स अ स्मॉल रिकॉल आई एम डूइंग फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू, ठीक है, जिससे आपको पता रहे हमने पिछली क्लास में क्या किया था. सो देर इज ऑल्सो ऑलरेडी अनदर लेक्चर विच इज़ पार्ट 1. इफ़ यू हैव नॉट गॉन थ्रू इट, काइंडली गो थ्रू इट. आई विल ऑल्सो पुट द लिंक इन द डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स. So 1940s was all about limited effects, where it was found that audiences were not as passive as the people or the scholars in the direct effect school were talking about, that they were very passive. Here the agency of let's say viewers was also taken in account. They were not taken for granted. It was assumed that they had their own agency. Okay, then things there were also several commissions, like the seminal work or seminal document came out from Hutchins Commission, which also led to a lot of conversation on the role of media, accountability of media. Okay, and some scholars also started looking at it from societal perspective. So we also learned about normative theories, how media ought to work in a particular society. Okay, by seminal work by I forgot the name, Seibert, Peterson and McQuill. Okay, so 8-9 normative theories, very important. Then there started a new wave of theories which were grounded in psychology. Okay, a lot of psychologists, they started looking at media. They started looking media as, you can say, a stimulus. Okay, how the behavior of people is influenced. Are people so passive? So the early 20th century was all about passive audience. Then came the you can say wave of limited effects. Okay, so people like Paul Lazarsfeld, they felt that there were other elements like of opinion leaders. Okay, so mass media had limited effect. People like opinion leaders, they were more prominent in setting up of opinions. Okay, then other people like Carl Hovland, seminal work he did. He came up with the ideas like sleeper effect. Okay, what is sleeper effect? That the effect of message tends to increase with the passage of time. ठीक है, कोई आपने आज एक किसी पॉलिटिकल आप कह लीजिए किसी पॉलिटिकल लीडर की स्पीच सुनी, यू माइट नॉट थिंक अबाउट इट राइट नाउ. ठीक है, बट एज द टाइम पासिस बाय it might be the case that it starts to come back. Okay, you might think more you might start to empathize with his or her thought. ठीक है, एज द टाइम पासिस बाय. सो उसने क्या करा कि एक अमेरिकन प्रोपेगेंडा फिल्म थी, वाई वी फाइट, विच वॉज मेड फॉर अमेरिकन आर्मी. So he took interviews after 5th day, and after 3 weeks he found that the effect of the message was more prominent after some time. Okay, then there were several other theories which were related to it, like inoculation theory, which also took forward this thought that audiences were not as passive as they were claiming. So he suggested that there is third element. So Carl Hovland suggested that there is third element, which is audiences themselves also. And inoculation theory, what does this suggest? कि जिस तरह से हम, व्हाट इज इनोकुलेशन, ऑफ वैक्सीन. ठीक है, जिस तरह से हम वैक्सीनेट करते हैं अपना आपको, आप कह लीजिए दूसरे वायरस के लिए, उसी तरह से हमारे थॉट्स, हमारे सेल्फ बिलीव्स, वैल्यू सिस्टम्स, ठीक है, अगर हमारे वो स्ट्रॉन्ग है तो वी वोंट गेट इन्फ्लुएंस्ड वेरी इजीली. इफ दैट इज ओनली वीक, देन वी कैन गेट इन्फ्लुएंस्ड. ठीक है, सो अनदर वेरी सेमिनल थ्योरी बाय विलियम जे मैग्वायर. Then in 1950s and 60s you will find a range of theories which were grounded in the subject of psychology. And if you look at models also, ठीक है, models of communication, all the models which came around 1955 to 1970s, they were all they had a lot of implication in psychology. ठीक है, so in 1960s there emerged a new school of communication also, which was technological determinism. ठीक है, in Toronto, Canada. So people like Marshall McLuhan, then Harold Innis, okay, Claire Irons, then they were all looking at the effect of technology, okay, on how people perceive message. So a lot of important concepts like global village, hot media, cool media, then time and space bias of Harold Innis, then technological determinism in media itself, rear view mirrorism. ठीक है, all these very important concepts came. In 1968 another important study was conducted by in 1968 election, another very important study was conducted by McComb and Shaw, okay, about presidential election, in which they looked at the topics, or you can say the agendas which were covered by the press. So this was based on 1968 election, presidential election, and it was published later in 1972. So don't get confused with it. Okay, there was a question in UGC net. So agenda setting theory was conducted on which presidential elections. Okay, so though it was published in 1972, but this was conducted on 1968 election. Okay, so this theory suggested that media doesn't tell us what to think, but it tells us what to think about. So another very important concepts like priming, okay, then framing, all these very important concepts came out of agenda setting. Then the idea of gatekeeping also was discussed into this theory also. Okay, so very important theory. Then we discussed about a set of other theories like knowledge gap hypothesis and how it is relevant in contemporary world when we talk about things like digital divide, which is very relevant. Okay, acha, a small question: who gave this concept? So who is associated with this concept? So it is a very interdisciplinary thing. So John Van Dijk, she talked about several types of inequalities which is being created because of digital divide. Okay, unequal access of digital technologies, internet, okay, smartphones, computers, softwares, hardwares, all those things. Okay, so I think till now we covered till here. Okay, we discussed about several other concepts also. So in 1970s हमने यूजर्स एंड ग्रेटिफिकेशन थ्योरी के बारे में बात करी थी. ठीक है, इट वाज आल्सो अ काइंड ऑफ लिमिटेड इफेक्ट थ्योरी विच empowered the audiences. Okay, unlike other theories, so it suggested that people used media to gratify their needs. Okay, it was extension to this Maslow's hierarchy of need theory. Okay, then there was another extension of users and gratification theory, which was in 1976 media dependency theory. Okay, let us begin from here. We also discussed about direct effects, then we discussed about limited effects also, then we also discussed about cumulative effects theory like cultivation theory. Okay, by George Gardner and Larry Gross, which suggests that it accumulates over the period of time. Okay, the idea of heavy viewers or the idea of mean world syndrome. Okay, people start to believe that the world is violent, or people start to resonate with certain events which accumulates over the period of time, which suggests that yes, media is powerful but not as powerful that कि audiences are very passive, एक मैसेज से ही वो इन्फ्लुएंस हो जाती है. this wave suggested that it accumulates over the period of time. ठीक है, then another you can say extension of users and gratification theory was media dependency theory, which came in 1976. ठीक है, by DeFleur and Sandra Ball-Roche. ठीक है, we shall pronounce this at Roche. Okay, so Sandra Ball and DeFleur. ठीक है, in 1976. This theory suggests, though it was also an extension of users and gratification. ठीक है, so it suggests that the power of media is not inherent. It depends on the dependency created by the consumers on media. So let's say, how dependent are you? So you can be dependent on media for your cognitive needs. ठीक है, आपको information चाहिए तो इसलिए आप dependent हो. You can be dependent on media for your affective needs or emotive needs. You want entertainment, you want escapism. ठीक है, so the dependency on media is also going to get decided by your needs. ठीक है, जितना आप डिपेंडेंट उसके ऊपर होगे उतना ही वो आपको इन्फ्लुएंस करेगा. सो द पावर ऑफ मीडिया इज नॉट इनहेरेंट, बट इट इज अ फंक्शन ऑफ ऑडियंसेस डिपेंडेंसी ऑन इट फॉर मीटिंग देयर नीड्स. ठीक है, एंड ऑल्सो इट वॉज अ पार्ट ऑफ सिस्टम, सोशल सिस्टम थ्योरी. ठीक है, सोशल सिस्टम थ्योरी. So we have discussed about systems theory in public relations also. Okay, if you go through our playlist, there is a playlist on public relations. Then there are 2 videos, theories of public relations. Okay, so there is a theory called systems theory. Okay, social systems theory, which suggests that these all things, they are part of a you can say a larger system, and they have to work in synergy. Okay, so media just like other institutions is a part of this whole thing, whole system, which has to work in synergy. Okay, it is a very important concept in context of public relations, so please kindly go through all the theories of PR advertising theories also. ठीक है, चलिए. So there is an internal link between media, audience and larger social system. ठीक है. सो दोस्तों, जब हमने फंक्शनलिस्ट पर्सपेक्टिव की बात करी थी अपने एक प्लेलिस्ट में, आप देखिएगा, वीडियो है, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, फंक्शनलिस्ट पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन. ओके, इन विच पीपल लाइक रॉबर्ट मोर्टन, ठीक है, देन चार्ल्स राइट, they all are suggesting the same, that media plays a functionalist perspective. It is a part of a larger social system. Okay, no, it is not stuck. Is it stuck? Hello, am I audible? Is it stuck? Hello, wait. Dear students, it is stuck. Bidan is saying video has got stuck. Okay, it's clear. Bidan, you refresh your video. ठीक है, there might be some technical issue from your side. ठीक है, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. So media dependency also you can say, you can relate it with the systems theory, which is very important. ठीक है, or you should also relate it with the functionalist perspective. ठीक है, when people like Robert Morton, they are saying that there are certain functions like latent function, ठीक है, which is hidden function, manifest function. ठीक है, so these all threads are related to each other. Try to tie these threads. So media dependency theory, this is an internal link between, there is an internal link between media, audiences and larger social systems. ठीक है, so just like you have seen a nucleus, हमने साइंस में देखते थे ना, so it's a larger social system and these all things are a part of it. ठीक है, they have to work in a synergy. This theory suggests this also. ठीक है, so media dependency theory also a part of limited effects, you can say, or audience theory. ठीक है, so society, media, audience, effects, they all are interrelated to each other. ठीक है, then degree of dependence, so individuals, it depends on the degree of dependence. How dependent are you? Individuals can be dependent on their needs for information. Let's say you use media for informationary purposes, you watch news. ठीक है, you watch, so there can be very situational examples also. So there is an earthquake, you are totally dependent on media for all the important news. ठीक है, what's happening out there. So there are elections, or you want some trivial news about celebrities, how dependent you have become on media. ठीक है, then it also acts as a you can say, this has to also work for सोशल स्टेबिलिटी. ठीक है, सामाजिक समन्वय बनाने के लिए, ये ABX मॉडल में भी वो बात करता है, थियोडोर न्यूकॉम. ठीक है, सो इट हैज़ टू द सोसाइटी इज डिपेंडेंट ऑन मीडिया टू क्रिएट अ सोशल स्टेबिलिटी. ठीक है, सो ड्यूरिंग सोशल चेंज, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स, इलेक्शंस, audiences they re-evaluate beliefs and behaviors. ठीक है, media dependency increases due to heightened need for information and support. So आप कह लीजिए कोई conflict situation arise हो गई है, या कुछ natural calamity हो चुकी है, so society is going to get dependent for social stability on media for information. ठीक है, third is audience, active audience. So it can depend on your economic status, demographic needs, ठीक है, or individual needs. So how you can say, एक minute, okay, so how your personal needs are making you dependent. ठीक है, or availability of alternate sources, so factors such as your economic status. ठीक है, what is your salary, how much media can you afford. ठीक है, how much like what kind of internet plan can you afford, what kind of DTH connection can you afford. ठीक है, what kind of you can say access to different emerging medias can you afford. it also decides your dependency on media. So you cannot afford it, you will be very less dependent. ठीक है. Active audiences selects media based on individual needs, economic conditions, society and culture. ठीक है. So I hope this is clear. Moving forward, then very important another psychology theory which is applied in media. So until now we have learned about Ivan Pavlov. इनकी थ्योरीज के आप नाम मुझे बताते रहिए और ईयर भी बताते रहिए. ठीक है. फिर हमने BF स्किनर की थ्योरी के बारे में पढ़ा. दे ऑल वर साइकोलॉजिस्ट. ठीक है. they are a very, you can say, their seminal work actually roots into psychology. It is applied later in mass communication. ठीक है. BF स्किनर के बारे में हमने बात करी. देन हमने बात करी थी सिगमंड फ्रॉइड के बारे में. नाउ फोर्थ psychologist which is being used in this media studies is Albert Bandura. Seminal work, social learning theory. Good. Classic conditioning theory और operant conditioning. ठीक है. Very good. So this was classic conditioning. ठीक है. वो एक experiment था ना जिसमें the Bell experiment, the Bell and dog experiment, the BF Skinner operant conditioning, Sigmund Freud the theory of subconscious, conscious. ठीक है. id, ego. Then Albert Bandura new theory. So Freud is associated with also psychoanalysis, which is very important when we look at theorists like Laura Mulvey. She uses his work, ठीक है, to create her own theory. Very important theory. Please go and watch our lecture on male gaze theory. It is very important. Last 3-4 years, every year there is a question. ठीक है. Then psychoanalytic theory by Sigmund Freud. Then Albert Bandura, social learning theory 1977. ठीक है. So why I have written their names? Because they were all scholars in psychology. जैसे people like Leon Festinger, Carl Hovland, they are rooted in media studies as well as psychology, but these people they were very they didn't have any connection with media studies. Their works are used in as theoretical framework to design new theories. ठीक है. That's why they are very important. So another very important theory, social learning theory by Albert Bandura. Teaching, आप teaching पढ़ते हैं, teaching theory में भी शायद से ये सारी theories use होती है. ठीक है. जब teaching aptitude आप paper 1 में पढ़ेंगे, there these theories are also applied. ठीक है. So they have become you can say interdisciplinary. जहाँ पे भी आप कह लीजिए ह्यूमन बिहेवियर से संबंधित बात होगी, इन थ्योरीज के बारे में बात होगी. ठीक है. सो सोशल लर्निंग थ्योरी प्रपोज्ड बाय एल्बर्ट बंडूरा इन 1977. ठीक है. सो एक बहुत ही कमाल का एक्सपेरिमेंट था विच वॉज बोबोडॉल एक्सपेरिमेंट विच वॉज कंडक्टेड इन अराउंड 1961 to 63, जिसमें ये देखा गया कि children were actually copying the violent behavior. ठीक है. बोबोडॉल एक्सपेरिमेंट demonstrated that children are able to learn social behavior such as aggression through the process of observation, learning through watching the behavior of another person. So उनको जब एक violent behavior वीडियो दिखाई गई जिसमें एक व्यक्ति एक डॉल को के साथ एक बहुत ही violent behavior उसको मार रहा था, ठीक है, फेंक रहा था हवा के अंदर, तो जब एक खाली कमरे में इन बच्चों को इस डॉल के साथ छोड़ा गया तो they replicated this particular behavior. Okay, so how this is applied in media? If people children are shown violent web series, movies, they are going to replicate the same behavior. ठीक है. This theory suggests this. So another very important theory. So remember this experiment was conducted in 1961 to 63. Theory later was published in 77. ठीक है. Be very specific with chronology. क्योंकि बहुत this NTA is very obsessed with chronology and authors. Then during 1980s or 1970s, you will find the new school of thought which is cultural studies. ठीक है. Here they are talking about how media artifacts they cultivates culture, they cultivates meaning. Okay, we are going to discuss about this also. First let us continue with this mass media thing. So in 1980s, another seminal work by Edward S. Herman and Noam Chomsky. Seminal work. It is still very relevant in contemporary media landscape and ecology. Every media school teaches this particular work, which is manufacturing consent. the political economy of media. What is political economy? We have discussed this theory multiple times, so I want all of you to tell me in a line or two. Okay, don't take a lot of time, just write it. What is political economy? Okay, so it looks at the corporate media of United States. Okay, how they use corporate media as a tool of propaganda. Okay, and it talks about 5 kind of filters, how this propaganda is maintained. And manufacturing consent, as the name suggests, they are manufacturing the consent. So it seems so that you are giving your consent on your agency, but which is being manufactured. Okay, it is also a kind of a propaganda. They create such kind of conditions that you start to believe, or you start to give your consent. Okay, and you start to agree with the elite, with the interest of dominant people, or the classes of dominant people. Okay, so what is political economy? Now let us discuss about it, how media elites frame the mindset of common people. So political economy is actually a concept which emerged from economics. Okay, it is applied in all the subjects, politics and economy. Okay, so how these two factors, so let us take example of media. Okay, who owns it? Ownership. Okay, whether let us look at normative theories also. Is it state owned or it is privately owned? If it is privately owned, who are the conglomerates who are owning this media? Okay, this thing is going to affect the ideology, or you can say politics of the agendas which are being set. Okay, I am talking in context of political economy of media, how you should look at it. Okay, political economy is the effect of ownership, who is owning this media. I am simplifying it. ठीक है, बहुत ज़्यादा simplify करके बता रहा हूँ आपको. और politics, ठीक है, या उसकी जो ideology होगी, who is owning it? Is it a state owned media, or is it owned by private ownership? But who in private ownership is also who are the people, like what are their political ideologies? Okay, it's a Marxist perspective. Those who control the factors of production, okay, they have the power, as the Marx suggests. Okay, so a sense of it, kindly elaborate on what you want to say, Priyam. It is not clear. A sense of community. So in simple terms, the ownership is going to affect the kind of ideology which is being disseminated through media. Okay, and in their seminal work they talks about 5 filters through which the propaganda is done, which is ownership, who owns it. Then the media of 1980s was still, it is hugely dependent on advertising. Okay, so let's say if they are taking a lot of advertisement from a political party, so it's very unlikely that they are going to discuss about issues which are not in favor of that political party. Okay, the 5 filters in this theory help us to understand. Okay, so let's say if a particular news agency or news channel, it is dependent on advertising from a particular political party, or let's say a particular industry. Okay, let's say there is a industrialist which is actually giving you advertisement worth of billions. So if there is some kind of report which is not you can say which is against, or which is not in interest of that particular industrialist, you are unlikely to show your those news. So advertising is the second filter. Then sourcing of news. Okay, all these news agencies like Reuters or AFP, they were also having a lot of bias. Okay, so from where the news is being sourced, sometimes the source themselves acts as a filter of propaganda. Then flags and enforcers. What is this? So using fist power. Okay, you can say the fear of getting sued. Okay, there were multi-million dollar you can say cases on these news organization. अगर आपने किसी के बारे में कुछ भी बोल दिया, वो गलत निकला, तो डेफेमेशन का केस आ जाएगा. ठीक है, लॉ सूट्स. सो फ्लैग एंड एनफोर्सेस, Then anti-communism. So you know that during this time there was Cold War going on, okay, between USSR and United States. They were allies. So this propaganda was anti-communism, or people who were against a particular ideology, let's say capitalism, they were criticized, okay. So these were the 5 important filters of this book, theory given by Edward S. Herman and Noam Chomsky. Then 1980s, you will also find emergence of a lot of theories which were based on pop culture, okay. So when we talk about Stuart Hall reception theory, it was actually in 1973, okay. Then their books are very important concepts. Then John Fiske, okay, he comes up with his own idea of pop culture, how it is very ideological, how it cultivates identities, how it leads to in a lot of cultural changes. So television became a very, I would say, very provocative medium during this time. The whole idea of MTV culture, okay, how culture was being used as a commodity, okay. There were studies which were being conducted on gender. So when we talk about Laura Mulvey, okay, then other feminist scholars like Janice Randway, and there were few others also, okay. So a lot of feminist theories in media, they were also being emerging. Then during this time, a lot of conversation around technology. So as you know, the history of internet and hardware, a lot of innovation had already been made in technology. The coming up of ARPANET, Sputnik, then Microsoft, IBM, they started creating computers. Then when we talk about, let's say, new inventions like CD, CD-ROM, all those things, it also led to a conversation around technologies, about let's say convergence, media convergence, okay, how new kind of technologies were being leading. They were actually bringing about change in how people engage with media. So Henry Jenkins, he is a very important name in technology and culture. So he talked about convergence, not media but culture, okay. So some of his very important concept is participatory culture, how things like, you can say, digital media, okay, or let's say fan cultures with the coming up of Facebook or Orkut, okay, or an internet also. So there were things like blogs, okay, people started writing blogs. So it led to an idea of participatory culture, okay, how people participate to discuss about you can say issues which are of national importance. Sometimes they can be globally relevant, okay, or there can be local issues. So when we talk about incidents like Arab Spring, okay, so and also how fan cultures can be of movie stars, or they can be of any pop singer, how new kind of arena emerged because of digital media, okay. So Henry Jenkins actually talk about convergence culture, okay. Other people were talking about convergence technologies. He actually led to a lot of his work led to a lot of conversation around convergence culture, ठीक है. किस तरह से हम सोशल मीडिया को यूज़ करके एक पार्टिसिपेटरी कल्चर बनाते हैं. आप ये तो बहुत रेलेवेंट है. ट्विटर का एग्जांपल लेते हैं, या आप कह लीजिए फेसबुक, ठीक है. सो हाउ दे आर पॉलिटिकली सो एक्टिव. इवन ऑल द प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स दे आर ऑन ट्विटर, ठीक है. all the important you can say all the important people they are on Twitter. So and all the you can say common people, they are on Twitter. So hashtags, all those things, these are very relevant, okay. Remember the name of Henry Jenkins. Now let us discuss about then when we talk about technology, how can we forget about Manuel Castle, okay. The idea of information society, network society, okay. So what is network society? society which is interconnected with networks or internet technologies, information communication technologies, okay, use of internet, use of all these technologies such as video cameras or emails, okay, which has led to a new kind of social structures which are bereft of, you know, the boundaries of geography or nations. So identities, they have become fluid. At the same time, people can be Indian, okay, they can identify themselves with some Western values also. So Western values of, let's say, feminism and all those things. So all these things becomes very fluid, the idea of identity. At the same time, you can be an Indian, but you can also identify with the culture of another country. So let's say आजकल K-pop, कोरियन पॉप बहुत फेमस हो रहा है इंडिया के अंदर भी, ठीक है. देन there are very time to time new kinds of cultures emerges which becomes very relevant in your country, in your place, at your place, okay. Then this concept was first used by Jan van Dijk. She coined the term network society in 1991, okay. Manuel Castle wrote a trilogy, okay, The Rise of Network Society, and there were two other books also, very important, Information Age, okay. Third book I am forgetting the name. So this all came in 1990. इसकी सारी किताबों के नाम बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है मैनुअल कासल की, ठीक है. ही रोट एक्चुअली 7-8 बुक्स. प्लीज गो थ्रू विकीपीडिया, मेक अ नोट ऑफ all the books written by him, ठीक है. In 1996, Castle published The Rise of Network Society, which elaborated on his theory on network society. The book was a part of a trilogy, Information Age, Economy, Society and Culture, which also included other books are Power of Identity and End of Millennium, ठीक है. So the trilogy was Information Age. किस तरह से जो ये इंफॉर्मेशन कम्युनिकेशन टेक्नोलॉजीज हैं, दे हैव चेंज्ड हाउ इकोनॉमी वर्क्स, सोसाइटी वर्क्स, कल्चर वर्क्स, ठीक है. ऑल दीज थिंग्स वर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो कीप अ नोट ऑफ इट, ठीक है. नाउ लेट अस डिस्कस अबाउट द न्यू ट्रेंड which propped up in 1970s, cultural studies, ठीक है. What is cultural studies? Study, in simple terms, let us simplify it. Study of culture, ठीक है. What is culture? Culture is a way of living. What is a way of living? ठीक है. It is a constant effort of creating meaning. How do you create meaning? You create meaning through symbols, interactions, ठीक है, or engagements. You engage with people. How you create meaning? Creation of meaning is also a communication activity, ठीक है. So we started with the study of culture. What is culture? Culture is a way of living, ठीक है. What is way of living? Way of living is a constant effort of making meaning out of things, ठीक है. Okay, very good. Sita is saying ethnicity is a part of culture, ठीक है. What are the some parts part of your culture, ठीक है. Let's discuss about elements of culture or part of culture, ठीक है. Elements of culture. So ethnicity is one, ठीक है. Then nationality, ठीक है. Then you can say language, ठीक है. Then gender, your sexual orientation. Then aesthetic, okay, you can say aesthetic also, ठीक है. Then class, ठीक है. Somebody belongs to working class, ठीक है. Blue collar jobs or corporate, all these things are also rich, poor, all these classes. Then in context of India, we have to also look at caste, ठीक है. Several things. It is a sum. Culture is a sum total of several things, ठीक है. Then hidden ideologies and pop culture, ठीक है. It actually cultivates culture, identities, cultures. It creates meaning, ठीक है. ठीक है. So pop culture studies becomes a very important part of cultural studies, ठीक है. Cultural studies is an umbrella term in which we can look at several things. So representation of ideology or you can say religion in so and so novels, ठीक है. You can use it in English literature if you want to study how culture is being shown, ठीक है, a particular part of culture. So let's say you want to do an analysis of representation of women in, you know, these magazines. So there used to be very popular magazine called Grah Shobha, very popular, very ideological, ठीक है. It had a lot of you can say representations. So you can do this kind of study in a, you know, in another setup. Okay, all the novels which were written by so and so writers during 1970s to 1990s, you want to look how class was being portrayed, ठीक है. Similarly, when we talk about media studies, media artifacts like films, advertisements, songs, they all are part of culture, ठीक है. So remember this, what I'm trying to tell you is very important thing, that cultural studies is an umbrella term, ठीक है. Cultural studies is an umbrella term in which we can study media studies, how media artifacts like television sitcoms, which are very regressive, or you can say very ideological, which has a lot of reach, they are watched by, let's say, 10 crore people at the same time, ठीक है. A show like Tarak Mehta का उल्टा चश्मा, ठीक है. So it's not as innocent as it seems to be, okay. It's just a comedy show. It is being watched in a bedroom with a family, and people are believing what they are showing, ठीक है. The representation of all the characters, ठीक है. Or let's say things like films, magazines, newspapers, advertisements, then TV shows, ठीक है, all those things. Then you can also apply this cultural studies in magazines, or let's say literature, English literature, ठीक है. You can study novels, short stories, ठीक है. You can study other things like poems, ठीक है. So this is a interdisciplinary field, ठीक है. So cultural studies investigates how cultural practices relate to wider systems of power associated with or operating through social phenomena, ठीक है. किस तरह से power, so critical, it has been inspired a lot of you know, lot of things from critical theories of Frankfurt School, ठीक है. जो हमने फ्रैंकफर्ट स्कूल के बारे में पढ़ा था ना, द आइडिया ऑफ कल्चर इंडस्ट्री, और द आइडिया ऑफ कमोडिफिकेशन ऑफ कल्चर, ठीक है. इट टेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स फ्रॉम फ्रैंकफर्ट स्कूल, ठीक है. इट टॉक्स अबाउट द cultural practices, it investigates. So it is an investigation how powerful you can say elite groups, they control the culture, ठीक है. How things like advertisements, films, they influence our perception of reality, ठीक है. So a lot of times our references to certain things are only pop culture. Let's say you have never been to say USA, so your reference to USA or New York is always going to be the sitcom Friends or films which you have watched, okay. Or you have let's say a person of you know, Western origin, they have never been to India, so their reference to India, or let's say Asian subcontinent, South Asian subcontinent, would be film like Slumdog Millionaire. Are you getting what I'm saying? It's a very important and very sensitive thing, okay. You have never been to, let's say a place like Sri Lanka, your reference is some South Indian films, or let's say a web show like Family Man, okay. You have never been to a Muslim household, okay. So your reference would be popular Bollywood films, okay. Or you have never been to, let's say you are somebody who lives in North India, you have never been to South India, so your reference would be a popular you know, television serial, okay. So it becomes very ideological, it becomes very provocative, okay. A lot of times our only reference is you know, pop culture, how it is supposed to be, and which is very manipulative, because cultural industry believes in standardizing things, okay. Standardizing is very easy to produce. If you standardize everything, okay, then it becomes very easy for you to produce things. Are you getting what I'm saying? So many a times, let's say you are not friends with people who have different sexual orientation, okay? So your reference to their lives or their identities would also will be very, you know, stereotypical references which are given in pop culture, okay? So that's why it becomes very important field of study to investigate all those things. You are all going to be future scholars, media scholars, so you can also look at it from media research perspective also, okay? If you are you know, getting into all those things, you are interested in studying films, all these things, so cultural studies is the umbrella term, okay? So key scholars includes Richard Hogarth, William Raymondson, okay? Richard Hogarth, they were the founding fathers of this thing, Richard Hogarth, cultural studies. So there was a school in Birmingham, okay? Hogarth, then William Raymond, very important names you should know about. Richard Hogarth, William Raymonds, okay? Then people like Stuart Hall, John Fiske. You can also name few people who were associated with the cultural industry. Then other scholars, their work was also applied in cultural studies like Derrida, Jacques Derrida, ठीक है? The concept of deconstruction, हमने बहुत बारी इसके बारे में बात करी है. Then people like other people like Antonio Gramsci, ठीक है? Michel Foucault, Antonio Gramsci, ठीक है? All these people are related to cultural study thought of communication. So we apply this in media studies to study or investigate how media artifacts you know, are representing all those things like class structures, national formation, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender, generation, identity, okay? So identity becomes very important concept. Representational studies, okay? Very good, Julia Kristeva. The concept of intertextuality, that you know, we take a lot of references from other things. So in this postmodern world, okay, there is no scope of originality. What there is you know, everything is being inspired from other thing, ठीक है? जो हमने बात करी थी अपनी सेमियोटिक्स की क्लास में. So let us talk about few important scholars, Stuart Hall being one of the most very important scholars. So pop culture and television theories, he gave reception theory in 1973, okay? Very important theory. He Stuart was a British Marxist sociologist, okay, cultural theorist and political activist, born in Jamaica. He was one of the pioneers of, along with Richard Hogarth and William Raymondson, he was one of the pioneers of British cultural studies. It was actually in Birmingham, okay, along with Richard Hogarth and Raymond Williamson, and his work was central to the development of Birmingham School of Cultural Studies. Remember this school is very important. They can ask you this school belongs to which school of thought. So cultural studies, or this Birmingham School of Cultural Studies. Additionally, he played a crucial role in founding a renowned journal called New Left Review. So his major work was the reception theory, in which he gave the three important kind of readings, which one was oppositional reading, okay? Second was preferred reading, okay, or dominant reading, and third was negotiated reading. So he also talked about the concept of circuit of culture, okay? So when a media artifact is produced, it is very unlikely that it is going to get decoded in the same way the encoder or the producer expected it to be, ठीक है? आप एक producer हो, आपने एक show बनाया, let's say a show like let's say you produce this music video, ठीक है? So people are going to have their own readings depending on their own belief systems, on how they have been brought up, okay, on what is their current mental state, how they feel, how they emote. So first is preferred reading or dominant reading. So that this song, it has been watched by 1.7 billion people. It means 1.7 crore people have watched this thing on YouTube. Okay, so preferred reading would be the codes or the cues which were intended to be decoded, like these all music videos, they talk about hedonism. Okay, the idea of materialistic pleasure, then a certain way of portraying gender dynamics. What is oppositional reading? When audiences reject the preferred reading and they starts to create their own meaning for the text. Okay, so people might feel that this song is you can say regressive. This is oppositional reading. Okay, what is negotiated reading? They compromise, so they believe in some part of the message, but they have their oppositional readings as well as. Okay, this part is fine, but I am not okay with this part. Okay, so very important work, encoding and decoding. This is also called reception theory. Okay, 1973. Remember, this year is very important. Okay, then he also talks about how meaning is actually embedded in this message. Very important point is the idea of text. ठीक है, जब हम कल्चरल स्टडीज की बात करते हैं, you look at all the media artifacts as text. ठीक है, everything is text, just like a novel. ठीक है, novel can be read like a text, it can be deconstructed. ठीक है, in a similar fashion, all these cultural artifacts of media are also text which has to be deconstructed. In the words of you can say Jacques Derrida. ठीक है, you can use content analysis, you can use textual analysis, you decode that text. ठीक है, how the hidden meaning is being constructed. ठीक है, चलिए, then selected works of Stuart Hall, resistance through rituals. ठीक है, then you can go through all these writings. There are more books also. ठीक है, बहुत बारी questions पूछे जाते हैं. देखिए, कुछ questions भी पूछे गए हैं. You have to match the particular scholar with their school. So Marshall McLuhan, he belonged to technological determinism, which is a part of Toronto school, which emerged in 1950s, 60s and 70s. ठीक है, चलिए, Adorno, he belonged to Frankfurt school. यहाँ फ्रैंकफर्ट वर्ड नहीं है, तो आपको मान के चलना पड़ेगा जर्मनी की बात कर रहे हैं, बट इट शुड बी फ्रैंकफर्ट स्कूल. ठीक है, इट वाज इन जर्मनी, बट द रियल नेम शुड बी फ्रैंकफर्ट स्कूल. ठीक है, सो फ्रैंकफर्ट स्कूल, क्रिटिकल थ्योरीज. ठीक है, अडोर्नो, हॉर्काइमर, मार्क्यूजे, बेंजामिन. स्टुअर्ट हॉल बिलोंग टू, देखो ब्रिटिश स्कूल लिखा है, इट शुडंट बी ब्रिटिश स्कूल, इट शुड बी स्कूल ऑफ कल्चरल स्टडीज विच बिलोंग टू ब्रह्मिंगम. बट अच्छा, इन्होंने सीधा कंट्री लिख दिया सबकी. ठीक है, ओके, गुड. देन डेनियल लर्नर, अमेरिकन स्कूल. ओके, you can call it, he belonged to America, but there was no kind of school. It should be Chicago school or some kind of university. They should, he belonged to America. Okay, we can say this. So I hope this question is clear. Then there were several other questions from Hall. The encoding decoding model of communication was first simple question. They have just asked you who gave this theory. So the real name is reception theory. ठीक है, आई होप दोस्तों आपकी रिवीजन हो रही है. हम थोड़ा सा जल्दी चलेंगे क्योंकि ये हम ऑलरेडी सारी चीज़ें डिटेल में बात कर चुके हैं. ठीक है, इट्स अ रिवीजन. और अगर आपको कुछ चीज़ें थोड़ी ज़्यादा समझनी है तो आप हमारी प्लेलिस्ट में जाइएगा और वहाँ पे आपको ये सारी वीडियोस डिटेल में मिल जाएगी. ठीक है, तो मैं थोड़ा सा जल्दी करूँगा क्योंकि वी डोंट हैव मच टाइम. ठीक है, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. सो स्टुअर्ट हॉल गेव द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ so John Fiske gave the concept of semiotic democracy. अभी हम इसके बारे में भी बात कर लेंगे. Very important scholar. He also came up with the concepts of codes and conventions in television studies. ठीक है, television studies, John Fiske is the biggest name. ठीक है, then Michel Foucault, he talks about sexuality. Then he also talks about ideology. ठीक है, George Gardner, he talks about cultivation theory. You should know about all the scholars and works associated with them. अगर ये कर सकते हो, उसके साथ साथ इनकी ईयर्स भी लर्न करना शुरू कर दो, ठीक है। और कम से कम ईयर्स नहीं लर्न हो रहे तो कम से कम डिकेड्स तो लर्न कर लो कि कौन 1980s में था। मेजर सारे स्कॉलर्स की एग्जैक्ट ईयर पता होने चाहिए, ठीक है। चलिए आगे, अब लेट अस डिस्कस अबाउट सम अदर, वी हैव until now have discussed about mass media theory, ठीक है, जहाँ पे हम द इफेक्ट ऑफ मास मीडिया देख रहे थे, इम्प्लीकेशन ऑफ मास मीडिया। नाउ लेट अस लुक एट कम्युनिकेशन स्टडीज, ठीक है। कम्युनिकेशन स्टडीज इज अ मच वाइडर ब्रांच, इट includes mass media and also the other schools like semiotics, ठीक है। what is semiotics? Semiotics is the study of signs and symbols. We have discussed about it in great detail on our channel. There are 3 videos which are related to semiotics, ठीक है, very important, and there is one separate test on semiotics which is very important. You should all solve this, ठीक है। So all the questions from set exams, or English literature, then I have picked all the questions from UGC NET along with detailed explanations. There are several concepts which have been repeated in all the UGC NET exams, ठीक है। The concept of sign system, dyadic, triadic model, ठीक है, by people like Ferdinand de Saussure and C.S. Peirce, ठीक है। Later which was expanded by Roland Barthes, ठीक है। He gave the concept of 2 order signification. First order was denotation, the literal meaning, ठीक है। Let's say we have this particular plate. So the literal meaning of this poster is that somebody who has got into some fight, ठीक है। But then there is second order of denotation is first order of signification, ठीक है। Second order is the hidden meaning or connotation, which is which is not implied, it is subjective meaning which people create themselves, ठीक है। Then we also discussed about paradigmatic and syntagmatic relationships. So 2 scholars, first was Roman Jakobson. He talks about the functions of language. हमारी मॉडल्स ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन में जाइएगा, उसमें आपको एक वीडियो मिलेगी मॉडल्स ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन में, रोमन जैकबसन, ठीक है, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट नेम। द फंक्शन ऑफ नॉलेज, ही टॉक्स अबाउट फंक्शन ऑफ लैंग्वेज 1960, ठीक है। And also Ferdinand de Saussure also talks about, very good. So denotation would be the literal meaning and connotation would be subjective meaning, like Sita is saying violence, it could connote something else for somebody, ठीक है। Somebody can say that it is rise against injustice. See, somebody can say it is that poster, injustice. मैं जब पता नहीं ऊपर सुबह सुबह आता हूँ ना, मेरी स्पेलिंग सारी गलत होती है, so don't take attention, don't pay attention on it, ठीक है। So this poster, some people can say it is also so literal meaning is somebody has got into a brawl, ठीक है। Somebody is saying violence, so other person can say it is rise against injustice, मसीहा है ये, ठीक है। Some people can say that it is actually injustice, this person is very violent, it is he is inflicting a lot of pain on people who are not powerful, common people. So there can be different connotations, ठीक है। Yes, very good. So emotive, referential, multilingual, phatic functions given by Roman Jakobson, ठीक है। Then we talked about mythologies by Roland Barthes, very important concept, ठीक है। Codes and conventions, we talked about different codes and conventions like digital codes, analog codes, representational codes, presentational codes, ठीक है। ये पूरी वीडियो लेक्चर है, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कॉन्सेप्ट है, प्लीज जाके देखिएगा। देन aberrant decoding given by Umberto Eco, ठीक है। What is aberrant decoding? That once the message is open for public, then it is not going to have one static meaning. Similar to, you can say, connotation only. It is going to get interpreted in different ways. What is aberrant decoding? Aberrant decoding happens when people start to decode it in a manner which was not expected, ठीक है। what is so let's say you produced a film, you thought that आपने एक film बनाई और it was about a female protagonist who was very dutiful wife and she fought with the world, ठीक है, to get justice. इस तरह से आपने कुछ बनाया and it actually backfired. People started watching, so they became very uncomfortable watching it. They are saying that why is she why doesn't she have any agency. So आपने कुछ और intention से बनाया था. और aberrant decoding is when people you can say decodes in a altogether very different way, ठीक है. It happens many a times, things backfires. So आपने कोई advertisement बनाई about a communal harmony, people are taking people start to read it very differently. So this is aberrant decoding. Then deconstruction given by Jacques Derrida, ठीक है. You deconstruct like let's say media artifacts in a similar fashion. You are going to deconstruct a text like novel, ठीक है. You can use several research methods. Then what is intertextuality given by Julia Kristeva. So इसके बारे में चलो थोड़ी सी और बात करते हैं पहले, ठीक है. So ये सारी चीज़ें मैंने ऑलरेडी करी हुई है. Semiotics is the study of signs and symbols. So once Charles Sanders Peirce has even said that we think only in signs, ठीक है. चिन्ह क्या होते हैं? चिन्ह आप देखिए, आप you are surrounded by signs around you. So everything is sign. Language is sign, ठीक है. Color is sign. This spectacle is a sign. Hairstyle is a sign. Your costume is a sign, ठीक है. Your accessories, what you are wearing is a sign. Everything has something which creates meaning is a sign, ठीक है. So when you look at a tilak, it is a sign that person belongs to some faith. Some person is wearing a turban or a skull cap, it is a sign. Some lady is wearing a sindoor, it is a sign. Bindi is a sign, ठीक है. Even hairstyle is a sign. So I read a book that they the spectacles are one of the major signs when you see people what kind of glasses they are wearing. So there are cat eye frames, then there several frames, ठीक है. Then costume is a sign. Somebody is wearing let's say a formal shirt, so he or she might be going for some official purposes, ठीक है. So we make meaning through our creation and interpretation of signs. आप red light पे रुकते हो, red signal is a sign, green signal is a sign, ठीक है. Signs take the form of words, images, sound, ठीक है. Sound is a sign. Then smell, odors, flavors, acts, objects, ठीक है. Everything is sign. Then so you look at this frame, how it is applied in media studies. Our major focus should be how this is applied in media studies. Like culture studies, semiotics is also a very interdisciplinary discipline. It is also applied in English literature, ठीक है. How words, how let's say language is used in creating meaning. Then color is sign. So red color connotes something very different in Hindu religion. It can mean something very different in other religion. Expressions are sign. Lighting is sign in context of let's say media studies, ठीक है. Sense derived with the help of previous text, we already know. Okay, good, ठीक है. Then jewelry is sign, ठीक है. There are technical signs, we call it technical codes, ठीक है. Codes, what is the difference between codes and signs? You have to tell me in a line or two. मैंने आपको बहुत बार पढ़ाया है, ठीक है. So lighting, there are several kinds of lighting, ठीक है. आपने key lighting के बारे में पढ़ा है. Then you have learned about what other lights? Key light, ठीक है. Fill light, backlight. So brightly watch all the rom-coms, romantic films, ठीक है. We call it rom-coms. All the lighting in all these rom-coms are brightly lit up. All the faces are brightly lit up, ठीक है. You watch thriller films. So thriller films, you will find the light is you will find a lot of contrast between darkness and brightness, because it brings you see her face a lot of so soft shadows, ठीक है. So these conventions are also used to create meaning, ठीक है. You watch the film Godfather. Very interesting fact कि जो protagonist होता है in the initial phases of the film, his face is brightly lit up, but slowly as he gets into the world of crime, the shadow starts to get increase on his face. ठीक है, कभी आप फिल्म देखना गॉडफादर, ठीक है, जब what is the name of the protagonist? I'm forgetting the name of that protagonist. जब वो स्टार्टिंग में आता है, so his family they all are into the world of crime, बट वो एक इनोसेंट आपके लीजिए ग्रेजुएट होता है जब वो रिसेंटली आता है. स्लोली व्हेन ही स्टार्ट्स टू गेट इनटू दिस वर्ल्ड ऑफ क्राइम, द शैडोज ऑन हिज फेस स्टार्ट्स टू इंक्रीज. ठीक है, चलिए आपने वो फिल्म देखी है ना, गॉडफादर. इट्स अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग फिल्म एंड यू कैन लर्न अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स अबाउट सिनेमा. So what is semiotics? Study of signs and symbols. It is all about studying things that carry meaning, words, gestures, sounds. So कितना important बन जाता है. ठीक है, codes are, you can say, codes and conventions are things which develop over the period of time. ठीक है, let's say over the period of time we saw that brightly lit up faces, they are actually denoting happy faces or happy mood environment. So it becomes a standard. ठीक है, codes and conventions develop over the period of time. People start to associate meaning, ठीक है, common meaning. So it becomes a code. Did you get it? Then signs are language beyond words. अब मैं इसको ज़्यादा इतना खींचूंगा नहीं क्योंकि हमने इसके बारे में पहले ही बात कर चुके हैं. ठीक है, so sign system, when we talk about sign system, there are two kinds of signs. Didactic model. Didactic means two. ठीक है, dyadic model and triadic model given by C.S. Peirce. ठीक है, so famous theorist in science is Ferdinand de Saussure, who gave dyadic model of sign, signified and signifier. ठीक है, then C.S. Peirce, he gave a triadic model. ठीक है, then Umberto Eco, he gave the concept of aberrant decoding. इसके बारे में तो बात कर चुके ना. रिसेप्शन थ्योरी, क्रिश्चियन मेट्स, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट नेम. ही अप्लाइड द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ सेमियोटिक्स इन फिल्म्स. ठीक है, सो रीड अबाउट क्रिश्चियन मेट्स ऑल्सो, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट स्कॉलर. वंस अ क्वेश्चन हैज ऑल्सो बीन आस्क्ड फ्रॉम क्रिश्चियन मेट्स. ठीक है, देन रोलैंड बार्थ्स, ही गेव अ लॉट ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट्स. ही गेव टू ऑर्डर सिग्निफिकेशन. Then he gave the concepts of different kinds of codes, conventions. ठीक है, presentational codes, digital codes, then negotiated codes. All these codes are very important. There is a lecture on our channel, Roland Barthes. Please watch it, very important. And Julia Kristeva gave the concept of intertextuality. ठीक है, so these all concepts, they have been asked in exam. So please go today and solve the PYQs. It is very important. अगर आज जो कर रहे हो उसको क्लोज करना है. ठीक है, ये नहीं कि आज आपने ये पढ़ा उसके बाद कुछ थोड़ा सा मीडिया लॉ पढ़ लेते हैं, थोड़ा सा डेवलपमेंट कम्युनिकेशन पढ़ लेते हैं. नाउ इट्स अ टाइम ऑफ रिविजन. यू हैव टू क्लोज एवरीथिंग. नाउ यू क्लोज एवरीथिंग एंड 3-4 दिन पहले दोबारा से एक बार गो थ्रू कर लेना. सो दोज ऑफ यू हु हैव जस्ट जॉइंड आवर चैनल और आवर टेस्ट सीरीज, डोंट सॉल्व एनीथिंग. व्हाट यू डू, just submit the test and just go through the explanation. Every question has detailed explanations. ठीक है, don't solve test right now. ठीक है, अगर सबके साथ ऐसा होगा कि कुछ concepts they will be not very confident with, so don't solve test, just submit it and go through all the explanation. ठीक है, it's the best way of revision. First go through all the PDFs, run through them. ठीक है, then solve questions, then close it, then move forward. It's you know, I would say बहुत है इतना. ठीक है, because you have to revise a lot of things, a lot of factual information. ठीक है, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. देन हमने फर्डिनेंड डे सौसर के बारे में बात कर चुके हैं. ठीक है, एक क्वेश्चन ये देखो किस तरह से इन्होंने कहाँ से बिलोंग करते हैं ये पूछा गया है. ठीक है, तो C.S. Peirce, फर्डिनेंड डे सौसर, रोलैंड बार्थ्स, स्टुअर्ट हॉल. सो स्टुअर्ट हॉल के बारे में अभी हमने पढ़ा. ही बिलोंग टू ब्रिटिश स्कूल. ठीक है, then Roland Barthes, France. Ferdinand de Saussure belonged to Switzerland. He was a Swiss linguist. ठीक है, he was a Ferdinand de Saussure was a Swiss linguist. So his work emerged from the field of language. ठीक है, he also studied Sanskrit language. ठीक है, if you go through his biography, he also studied Sanskrit language, how certain phonetics, how certain alphabets, they start to create meaning. ठीक है, and C.S. Peirce, he belonged to United States of America. So dear students, it's very important for you to solve the questions. रोज पढ़ते रहोगे कोई फायदा नहीं है उसका if you don't apply your knowledge. ठीक है, you should know what kind of questions are being asked. Then this is your dyadic model. It talks about two elements. One is signifier. ठीक है, signifier is the physical form of sign. So it can be a word. So let's say if you didn't know this language English, for you it would have been just figures, this line, ठीक है, this is a physical form of sign. ठीक है, signifier like word or image, what mental image, mental concept signified, it is different for all of you. So some of you might think about a neem tree, other people might think about, you know, babool tree. Okay, Prem is saying interesting trivia. Yes, he didn't learned about it. He even investigated how phonetics and alphabets they create meaning. ठीक है, so this is called dyadic model because it has two elements. ठीक है, and C.S. Peirce he gave triadic model. ठीक है, so he also talks about arbitrariness and conventions. So what is arbitrariness? Saussure emphasized that connections between signifier and signified is arbitrary, relying on social conventions and agreements. So we arbitrarily call this thing let's say McDonald's, but it can mean different things. ठीक है, for somebody it can mean a burger, somebody it can mean capitalism, junk food, or a letter M. So it is open to interpretation. ठीक है, the meaning of a sign is not inherent but established through shared understanding. So this thing is just a figure. ठीक है, some people can call it letter M, some people can call it McDonald's. ठीक है, you can also attach other, you know, other logos with this. ठीक है, so then the concept of Lang and Parole. ठीक है, as you all know that his work was rooted in language. ठीक है, he was a linguist. So Saussure distinguished between Lang, language system, and Parole, individual speech acts. So what is Lang? Lang is, you can say, the structure of language, like conventions of grammar. ठीक है, जब हम हिंदी में बात करते हैं बहुवचन, द्विवचन, ठीक है, then use of all these you can say articles, all those things. So overarching structure of language is Lang. What is Parole? Parole is how it is being used. So Lang is like a raw material. ठीक है, the language, the structure, the grammar. Parole is the raw you can say final product, how you use it. So I have same words, you also have same words, we write different poems from same grammar. ठीक है, Parole is individual instances of speech influenced by context and individual expressions. So it has to do with the aesthetic part of language also, Parole. ठीक है, yes, context, very good. So this question, give me the right answer. Ferdinand de Saussure divided language into encoding and decoding. Who gave this concept? Stuart Hall. ठीक है, there was model also by Shannon Weaver. Content and style no, subtext and hidden meaning no, Lang and Parole. ठीक है, good. चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Then C.S. Peirce he gave the triadic model. What is triadic model? He talks about signs, different types of signs. ठीक है, triadic model we come later. So what is icons? Icons is something which has a physical resemblance. So this icon, this sign, ठीक है, according to C.S. Peirce there are three types of signs. ठीक है, first is icons which have physical resemblance. ठीक है, so this has physical resemblance with a telephone. ठीक है, so you can think of another sign, icons also. So when you go to a mall, you will find the icons of, you know, different genders. सो एक आकृति आप देखेंगे, फिगर बनी होती है ऑफ अ मेल और अ फीमेल विच सिग्निफाइज दैट दिस इज अ मेल सेक्शन, दिस इज अ फीमेल सेक्शन, ठीक है, समथिंग विच हैज़ अ फिजिकल रिजेम्बलेंस, ठीक है. What is symbol? Symbol which has arbitrary relationship to their meaning. So this is a trident, ठीक है. So if this was a trident क्या होता है? त्रिशूल, ठीक है, त्रिशूल होता है, उसको trident कहते हैं. If this would have been trident, then we would have called it icon. But when we look at this trident, we associate it with Lord Shiva, ठीक है. So we arbitrarily associate Lord Shiva with this trident. So how to apply this? I hope I bought that. रुको, चलो मैं लेके नहीं आया उसको. So if you have seen the poster of ब्रह्मास्त्र, ठीक है, a very popular film starring Ranbir Kapoor. Look at the poster of ब्रह्मास्त्र that Ranbir Kapoor is holding a trident in his hand, ठीक है. So that trident, Trishul, that Trishul is actually signifying Lord Shiva because his name is Shiva in that film also, ठीक है. So it's a arbitrary convention, ठीक है. So icons are keyword physical resemblance, ठीक है. Symbols, they have arbitrary conventions, ठीक है. And what is indexes? Signs with a direct or causal physical connection. So best example would be, आप बीच पे जाते हैं, ठीक है, there are footmarks देखें आपने, footmarks बने होते हैं. There are also indexes of somebody's presence, ठीक है. So causal relationship, fire है तो आपको पता है कि इससे fire is a sign of let's say fire कह रहा हूँ, smoke is a sign of fire. Causal relationship, ठीक है, causal और physical connection with the referent. So C.S. Pierce talks about 3 kinds of signs: icons, symbols, indexes. आपको keywords में याद रखना है, ठीक है. Icons have physical resemblance, ठीक है. Then indexes, first talk about symbols. Symbols have arbitrary relationships. Remember the best example is of that trident, ठीक है, arbitrary relationship, ठीक है. Trident, Trishul, ठीक है. This Trishul has you associated with Lord Shiva जब आप उसको देखते हो, ठीक है. Then indexes, causal और relationship और physical relationship to the referent. अभी referent के बारे में बात करेंगे. Cause and effect, very good. Order, you can also in some cases order also, smell also becomes indexical, ठीक है. So best example would be footmarks or let's say smoke, ठीक है. दोस्तों ये थोड़ा सा ना ओवरवेलमिंग हो सकता है उसके लिए जिसने ये सब नहीं देखा है, ठीक है. तो परेशान नहीं होने का, जितना समझ आ रहा है करो, उसके बाद जस्ट रिवाइज, ठीक है. जो आपको ऑलरेडी जिसने रिसेंटली तैयारी शुरू करी है 2-3 महीने से, आपने जितना पढ़ा है उतना बहुत है. डोंट गेट ओवरवेल्म्ड. आपको 60 मार्क्स लेके आने हैं नेट स्कोर करने के लिए. 60 नहीं, 62 63 पे आपका नेट निकल जाता है, 70 पे जेआरएफ निकल जाता है, ठीक है. टारगेट यू शुड लेट्स बी ऑब्जेक्टिव, ठीक है. कहने को तो मैं कह सकता हूँ कि सबको 100 स्कोर करने करो, पर द टारगेट इज दिस, ठीक है. अगर आपको कुछ चीज़ें नहीं आती तब भी काम चल जाएगा. फील कॉन्फिडेंट, जितना समझ आ रहा है समझ लो. जो नए बच्चे हैं मैं उनकी बात कर रहा हूँ, जिसने 1-2 महीने से तैयारी शुरू करी है. डोंट ओवर स्ट्रेस योर सेल्फ, ठीक है, कि इन ऑर्डर टू डू एवरीथिंग यू विल बी एंड अप डूइंग नथिंग. सो वट एवर यू हैव डन टिल नाउ जस्ट रिवाइज, ठीक है. जो भी अच्छे से पढ़ा है उसको रिवाइज कर लो. ये नहीं हो कि थोड़ा थोड़ा सब कर लेते हैं. थोड़ा थोड़ा डजेंट मीन मेक एनी सेंस, ठीक है. सो दिस एग्जाम रिक्वायर्स एटलीस्ट 5 to 6 months ऑफ रिगरस प्रिपरेशन, ठीक है. 8 hours डेली. ऑब्जेक्टिवली बता रहा हूँ, जैसे हर एग्जाम की अलग प्रिपरेशन होती है. आप यूपीएससी के लिए तैयारी कर रहे हो, आपको कम से कम 18 महीने करनी पड़ेगी, ठीक है. कम से कम कहते हैं वो. हर एग्जाम के, बैंक पीओ के एग्जाम की तैयारी कर रहे हो, 1 साल लगता ही लगता है, ठीक है. ये एग्ज़ाम एक मिड लेवल एग्ज़ाम है, आप कह लीजिए अबव एवरेज, और कम से कम 5 से 6 महीने 8-9 घंटे की तैयारी आपको करनी ही पड़ेगी एक बार, ठीक है. तो अगर इन केस कोई बच्चा ऐसा है जिसको ओवरवेलमिंग लग रहा है, सीता ओके क्यों कह रहे हो, आप तो बेटे बहुत पुराने बच्चे हो. आई होप आपने सब पढ़ा होगा ये, ठीक है. तो मैं जो नए बच्चे हैं उनकी बात कर रहा हूँ कि डोंट स्ट्रेस योर सेल्फ, ठीक है. ओके, अब तो कुछ चीज़ न्यू लग रही है, अब तो ओके नई लग रही है तो पढ़ लो. क्वेश्चंस ज़रूर सॉल्व करना, क्वेश्चन से चीज़ें रिमेंबर रहती हैं, ठीक है. यू रिटेन अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स वंस यू मेक अ मिस्टेक और वंस यू once you solve a question which is correct, it gives you a dopamine, ठीक है, you feel confident. अगर आपने ठीक कर दिया, अगर आपने गलत कर दिया तो आप सचेत हो जाते हो, तो गलतियाँ देख लेते हो, अगली बार नहीं करते, ठीक है. सो अप्लाइंग हैज इज़ वेरी क्रूशियल फॉर असेसमेंट, ठीक है. चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. डैश, देखो इस तरह से क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है, इट्स अ प्रीवियस क्वेश्चन. हाँ, स्ट्रेस नहीं देंगे पुराने बच्चे, ये तो सब ऑलरेडी बेदन कर चुके हैं बेटा. जाके देखो सेमियोटिक्स वाली वीडियो, मैं सेम पीपीटी ही यूज़ कर रहा हूँ, तो मैं ये ऑलरेडी कर चुके हैं, ठीक है. डैश, ये देखो क्वेश्चन पूछा किस तरह से गया है, एक बार आपने लर्न कर लिया वो एक चीज़ है, यू शुड नो हाउ टू अप्लाई इट. अभी जो हमने बात करी है उससे एक क्वेश्चन पूछा है. डैश आर आर्बिट्रेरी एब्स्ट्रैक्ट रिप्रेजेंट, देयर इज सम स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक डन बाय एनटीए, अनसीन फिनोमेना. So science, science is an umbrella term. He further bifurcates them into three parts. There were three kinds of science. First was icon, which had physical resemblance, okay. Then we talked about symbols, which were arbitrary. Then indexes, cause and effect, okay. Right answer would be symbol. Rules, rules are decided by institution, society. Codes are frameworks which develops over the period of time. Over the period of time, people started calling this genre as rom-com. और let's say एक lighting के बारे में मैंने बात करी, ठीक है. जब 5-6 एक over the period of time, let's say 100 films started using this technique, it becomes a code, ठीक है. So arbitrary, abstract representation, unseen phenomena is symbol, ठीक है. Okay, in semiotics again a previous year question, ठीक है. स्मोक इज कंसिडर्ड एज अ इंडेक्सिकल कम्युनिकेशन, अभी पढ़ा, ठीक है. इंडेक्स, इट इज अ काइंड ऑफ अ साइन विच इज इंडेक्सिकल, ठीक है. सो एक टेस्ट है हमारे चैनल पे ओनली ऑन सेमियोटिक्स, इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो इट कवर्स ऑल द इंपॉर्टेंट कॉन्सेप्ट्स रिलेटेड टू सेमियोटिक्स. जस्ट आफ्टर दिस लेक्चर फर्स्ट रिवाइज 3 PDFs और दिस PDF ऑल्सो, and then just don't solve it, just go through the explanation, ठीक है. 30 questions. Okay, Shruti might be talking about the last question, symbols, okay, good. So index, ठीक है, cause and effect. Why index? Because smoke signifies something else which is fire, ठीक है. अब देखो इसका कितने सारे अलग मीनिंग हो सकते हैं. देर आर सेवरल प्रोवर्ब्स ना, कि चिंगारी से आग लगती है या उस तरह से. सो डिफरेंट कल्चर्स विल हैव डिफरेंट मीनिंग्स ऑफ सेम थिंग्स ऑल्सो, ठीक है, ऑफ सिम्बल्स, ऑफ वर्ड्स, एवरीथिंग, ठीक है. देन व्हाट इज सिम्योसिस? the idea of semiosis was also given by C.S. Peirce, ठीक है. So it is the practice of you can say further studying about science, ठीक है, how the meaning is created. He talks about 3 you can say triadic model, ठीक है, 3 concepts. So dyadic model has 2, signifier and signified, ठीक है, given by Ferdinand de Saussure. ये भी हमने बात करी थी, ठीक है. Ferdinand de Saussure, he was a linguist, ठीक है. His major work focuses on how language creates meaning. When we talk about C.S. Peirce, he was a mathematician, logician, ठीक है. He wore several caps, ठीक है. He also started looking at other things like image, ठीक है, the idea of you can say sound, all those things, ठीक है. Ferdinand de Saussure's work was limited to language, how words created meaning, so word tree. So here semiosis, the trident model, he C.S. Peirce, he suggests that instead of 2, it is mediated through interaction between representative, interpretant and object, ठीक है. बहुत ही सिंपल है, नाम थोड़े डिफरेंट है. इस प्रोसेस को, इस प्रोसेस ऑफ मीनिंग क्रिएशन को ही कॉल्स इट सिम्योसिस, ठीक है. क्या है? व्हाट इज रिप्रेजेंटेटिव, जो सिग्निफायर था, ठीक है, द वर्ड ट्री. देन व्हाट इज इंटरप्रेटेंट, the mental concept. This tree would have different meanings for you. Somebody might think of a babul tree, somebody might think of a ashoka tree, somebody might think about let's say neem tree. Okay, what is other thing which is object, the actual phenomena which should be interpreted. Okay, so remember these three things: representative, interpretative and object. Okay, so representative, it is the physical sign of form. So let's say I write tree, it is representative. Okay, signifier, very good. In the words of Ferdinand de Saussure, it would be signifier, very simple. ठीक है, इसके बाद ना मैं दोबारा से रिवाइज कराऊंगा, चिंता मत करो, ये दोनों डायडिक और ट्राइडिक. सच एज वर्ड, इमेज. What is interpretant? It is the mental concept or understanding that evokes in interpreter's mind. ठीक है, object, the external reality or to which the sign refers to. ठीक है, so यहाँ पे एक बार दोबारा देखते हैं. ठीक है, हम दो तरह की सेमियोटिक्स की बात कर रहे हैं, दो सेमियोटिक्स मॉडल्स की बात कर रहे हैं. One was given by Ferdinand de Saussure, which was dyadic model. ठीक है, he gave so he bifurcated into two parts. First was signifier, which was, let's say, a word called tree. ठीक है, this is not word, you will only look at it as a figure. ठीक है, or a kind of drawing. ठीक है, then it led to signifier or signified. What did it signify? The concept of this thing. ठीक है, signified actually had both the things, a mental figure and the thing which was signified. Let's say I wrote the tree were dancing. ठीक है, but there was one mental image of the writer and there will be another image of the interpreter. This thing, same thing, C.S. Peirce is saying it's a triadic model. ठीक है, so it starts with a representative one, which is this word tree. Then there is a mental image. ठीक है, which is interpreted by the interpreter. ठीक है, somebody might think of let's say some other kind of tree, and other thing is object जिसको हम रेफर कर रहे थे. द ट्री वर डांसिंग, कौन से ट्री को मैं रेफर कर रहा था. ठीक है, वेरी सिंपल. एक्सटर्नल ऑब्जेक्ट इज द एक्सटर्नल रियलिटी. गुड. ठीक है, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. देन दिस पर्सन रोलैंड बार्थ्स, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट स्कॉलर. वाई? बिकॉज ही अप्लाइड द सिम्योटिक्स इन cultural studies. ठीक है, so those people, they were one was linguist, other C.S. Peirce, he was a logician, mathematician. ठीक है, so this person actually applied it in day to day life. कहाँ पे? रेसलिंग में कर दिया अप्लाई. ठीक है, so रेसलिंग की इनकी एक बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग एनालॉजी है कि हाउ अ रेसलिंग रिंग इज let's say full of science. Then he further applied it into popular advertisements, print advertisements. ठीक है, then films. ये जो किताबें ना, इनकी किताबें बहुत ही फेमस, mythologies. What does he do? He applies all these interesting concepts in day to day life. ठीक है, and it becomes very important for you, the media studies scholars. ठीक है, so very important concepts, mythologies, denotation, connotation, anchorage. ठीक है, Roland Barthes expanded on the ideas of Ferdinand de Saussure and C.S. Peirce, contributing significantly to the field of semiotics. ठीक है, so इसने क्या करा, जो इनके और इनके concepts थे उनको he applied it in several spheres of life. ठीक है, while Saussure focused on linguistic science, signifier and signified, Peirce introduced the triadic model. Barthes extended semiotic analysis in various forms of cultural phenomena. Did you get it? How important he becomes? ठीक है, then he was a French literary theorist, philosopher, linguist, critic and semiotician. ठीक है. He is one of the most influential figures in semiotics, the study of signs and symbols. ठीक है. Barth's work has profoundly shaped how we analyze text, images, cultural phenomena. So when we apply all these things, all the credit should go to Roland Barthes. So we do let's say semiotics. There you will find a lot of theses, you will find a lot of research papers, ठीक है, with the title semiotic analysis of so and so, semiotic analysis of let's say advertisement, semiotic analysis of films. All those concepts were developed by Roland Barthes. Practical implications, very good, ठीक है. So Barthes' work has profoundly shaped how we analyze text, images, cultural phenomena, moving beyond traditional literary criticism to encompass a broader cultural critique. ठीक है. ये सारे काम इस बुक से बहुत बारी क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है. हु रोट दिस, ठीक है. माइथोलॉजीज 1957, वेरी सेमिनल वर्क, ठीक है. कभी टाइम मिले तो एक आध चैप्टर पढ़ना इसके एग्जाम के बाद, बहुत ही ज़्यादा अच्छा काम है, ठीक है. देन राइटिंग डिग्री 0 एलिमेंट्स ऑफ सेमियोलॉजी, CZ, द प्लेजर ऑफ टेक्स्ट, इमेज, म्यूजिक, टेक्स्ट, ठीक है. सो ऑल दिस वर्क इज़ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. कैमरा लुसिडा, ठीक है. स्टूडेंट्स ऑफ फोटोग्राफी, हाउ फोटोग्राफ्स क्रिएट्स कल्चरल मीनिंग्स, ठीक है. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट वर्क. सो ये हम ऑलरेडी सॉल्व कर चुके हैं क्वेश्चन, ठीक है. इसके ऊपर डिटेल वीडियोस हैं, आप प्लीज़ देखिएगा. सो ही टॉक्स अबाउट द डीपर आइडियोलॉजिकल मीनिंग्स विच आर बीनीथ द सरफेस ऑफ टेक्स्ट, ठीक है. सो ऑन द फेस ऑफ इट दिस इज जस्ट अ मूवी पोस्टर, बट देर इज अ डीपर ideological meaning. So you can relate it with the apathy of state, or let's say lawlessness or unemployment. It can be anything, ठीक है. So the most important concept was two order signification, ठीक है. He talks about denotation, connotation. So what is denotation? The literal meaning, ठीक है. For somebody the literal meaning is a person with a gun, but connotation is the second order interpretation, which is subjective, which is hidden meaning. So connotation would be lawlessness, or you can say state apathy, ठीक है. Or there can be n number of meanings, ठीक है. So the concept of two order signification was formulated by, this is a PYQ. By two order signification by Roland Barthes, ठीक है. C.S. Pierce, Triadic, John Fisk, Semiotic Democracy and Other Pop Culture and Television Studies, ठीक है. डेनिस मैकवेल के साथ तो बड़े सारे कॉन्सेप्ट जुड़े पड़े हैं. सो चलिए इसके बारे में हम ऑलरेडी बात कर चुके हैं. फर्स्ट ऑर्डर एंड सेकंड ऑर्डर, ठीक है. सेकंड ऑर्डर इज एसोसिएटेड मीनिंग, ठीक है. सो लाइक लुक एट दिस पर्टिकुलर प्लेट. ऑन द फेस ऑफ इट, इट इज what is it? Literal meaning is that a person who is wearing a watch. The second order meaning is hidden meaning. They are trying to imply that through his costume, through this celebrity, I am forgetting the name of this. So he is Roger Federer, ठीक है, a very successful sports person. So they are suggesting that the people who wear this watch, they are successful, ठीक है. They are of high status, ठीक है. They are the people who are successful. So this is the second order signification of this advertisement, ठीक है. And he also talks about anchorage. So what is anchorage? Anchorage is use of, let's say, words or elements to fix the meaning of the encoder. क्या मतलब है? जैसे ये इसके बड़े सारे मीनिंग हो सकते हैं, ठीक है. बट दिस पर्टिकुलर वर्ड घायल, दे आर कन्वेइंग अ मीनिंग, ठीक है. और लेट्स से आपने कोई एडवर्टाइजमेंट देखी होगी बर्गर की, उसके ऊपर लिखा होता है द मोस्ट डिलीशियस बर्गर. सो द वर्ड विच दे आर एसोसिएटिंग विद देयर मीनिंग इज एंकरेज. इट इज ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, ठीक है. देन लेट अस मूव फॉरवर्ड. Let us learn about more few concepts. So this what are anchorage? The words and images, ठीक है. Like this word घायल, this is anchorage. He suggests that visual images are polysemous. What is polysemous? So ऐसे कोई word है ना, try to break them, ठीक है. There is a very important book, interesting book, which you should all solve, which is Word Power Made Easy. Have you heard about this book, Word Power Made Easy? This is readily available. When you get time na, solve this book. This will help you, with these words. So this word talks about etymology. Etymology, what is etymology? Etymology is the study of words, how words are created. Okay, so break this. Poly means multiple. Okay, seamless if you don't know, but this word means multiple meanings. Okay, he suggests that visual images are polysemous, meaning they contain multiple meanings. Readers can select some meaning while disregarding others. So इस polysemous reading से बचने के लिए when you use words or images, ठीक है, like घायल, this is an anchorage, ठीक है, it refers to how words serve as a caption for images, photographs, ठीक है, how words are used, this is anchorage. Then he also talks about ideology, ठीक है, ideology is the hidden meaning, knowledge presented as common sense or natural, especially when it's social construction, ठीक है. Barthes introduced the distinction between denotation, literal meaning, and connotation, the second meaning. So ideology concept was applied by Roland Barthes, but a lot of other people like Michel Foucault, okay, they have been talking about ideology before Roland Barthes also. So several scholars are associated with the idea of ideology. Then solve this question. When certain words are used to reinforce the encoder's intended meaning, it is described as? It is described as when certain words are used to reinforce intended's meaning. Okay, there is an image. Okay, I use a certain word, so this image can denote a lot of things. Okay, but I am writing, it can mean actually a lot of things. Okay, path less traveled or anything else, but I am writing the best roads in India. ठीक है, सो आई एम फिक्सेटिंग अ मीनिंग. ठीक है, मैं कॉन्ट्रैक्टर हूँ, मैं उसकी ऐड दे रहा हूँ, और मैं कोई टूरिज्म बेस्ड ऐड दे रहा हूँ. ठीक है, सो व्हेन यू फिक्स मीनिंग थ्रू वर्ड्स, व्हेन सर्टेन वर्ड्स आर यूज्ड टू रीइंफोर्स एनकोडर्स मीनिंग, इंटेंडेड मीनिंग, इट इज डिस्क्राइब्ड एज एंकरेज. ठीक है, दिस इज अ PYQ, पूछा गया क्वेश्चन. सो आपको पता होनी चाहिए क्वेश्चन पूछे किस तरह से जा रहे हैं. चलिए ये क्वेश्चन अब देखो, एंकरेज से दोबारा क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है. यू विल कनेक्टेड विद रोलैंड बार्थ्स. ठीक है, देन नेगोशिएटेड कोड. ठीक है, और प्रेजेंटेशनल कोड, रिप्रेजेंटेशनल कोड, आर्बिट्रेरी कोड, डिजिटल कोड्स, एनालॉग कोड्स, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. प्लीज़ वॉच दिस वीडियो लेक्चर रोलैंड बार्थ्स ऑन आवर चैनल. ठीक है, इससे बड़े सारे क्वेश्चंस पूछे गए हैं और वो आपके टेस्ट में भी हैं, सारे PYQs हैं. सो आप प्लीज़ उस वीडियो को देखिए, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. ठीक है, सो negotiated code, Stuart Hall gave the idea of negotiated readings. ठीक है, don't get confused with that. It was negotiated reading, oppositional reading and preferred reading. ठीक है, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Stuart Hall, they have connected it with negotiated code, but it was reading. ठीक है, it was preferred reading, oppositional reading and negotiated, not code. This is wrong, it shouldn't be code. ठीक है, codes have to be associated with John Fiske or Roland Barthes. ठीक है, so it was negotiated reading, how you decode meaning. Code is something which develops over the period of time. ठीक है, which people agrees upon. Okay, this is, let's say, this is the code of lighting. All the thriller films, they are going to have high key lighting. ठीक है, or let's say all the romantic films, they are going to have brightly lit up faces. It emerges over the period of time. This is what code suggests. ठीक है, Stuart Hall didn't give the idea of code. He gave the concept of negotiated reading. Yes, preferred or let's say dominant reading, which is encoded by the producer and decoded in the same manner by the interpreter. then dominant, preferred and dominant are actually same, Priyam, okay? Then another was oppositional reading, okay? It backfired. People have an oppositional reading. Let's say a film called 12th Fail. So it was the preferred reading would be that somebody, if there was a recent film, 12th Fail, it was a very successful film. So people, the preferred reading was that if somebody works hard, okay, he or she is going to succeed in their life, or they can be they can become an IAS officer. What will be the oppositional reading? That it is glorifying this exploitative market, okay, which is actually funded by coaching industry, okay? It will be an oppositional reading, that they are actually glorifying this thing, which is so let's say some this exams, okay, they have a lot of counterproductive, or let's say unproductive effect on the economy. So the major part of the population which is young, or let's say which have a lot of potential, they are into this frictional unemployment, where they are not working for, let's say, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and they are funding this whole $1 billion industry, okay, which is a coaching industry, where apart from coaching, there are, let's say, people who are regulating all these accommodation houses, study materials, all those things, okay? So this is an oppositional reading, that this film is actually glorifying it, where there are only let's say 800 people, or let's say only 200 people who are going to get selected. 10 lakh people are applying for this exam. Out of, let's say, 5 lakh people are not working, okay, for next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So this is glorifying this. So this would be an oppositional reading, okay? What will be the negotiated reading? Negotiated reading would be that, okay, this is right, that if somebody works hard, they can succeed in their efforts. But at the same time, there should you are critical about this whole idea of exams, that it is assessing you, okay? This exam has become a parameter, or let's say this exam is assessing you on your, what is your worth. It can be more, there can be other things, okay, in which you can succeed. So this would be a negotiated reading, okay? I wrote right so that I can easily recall. Okay, good, okay? चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Another very important concept is, now we have almost we are at the end of our revision. We have discussed about more than 100 concepts. If you count it, you will find more than 100 concepts, okay? Theories, years, books. The last thing is Indian and Asian perspective of communication, which has been very important in the recent years. There have been several questions which have been asked, okay? There is a lecture on our channel, please go through it, in which we have talked about several concepts in great detail. This will be a small revision also, okay? And also solve the questions which are related to, so all the questions which have been asked from this topic are there in that video. Please watch that, okay? So dear students, when we talk about communication has been there since time immemorial, ठीक है? वो हमेशा से रही है, and in every culture, in every, you can say, civilization, there has been different approach towards communication. What actually communication is all about, what is the need of communication, what is the role of communication in a civilization. So when we look at Indian, or you can say this Indian civilization, ancient India, there have been several references of communication in our oral cultures. Communication played a very important role, okay, when there were no writing techniques. So the idea of Guru Shishya Parampara, then the use of communication in maintaining the social stability, in negotiations, okay? In every literature you will find a reference to communication, okay? Even in Bhagavad Gita, the Vedas, okay, how it is supposed to be, what is it supposed to be a good communicator, okay? Even Kabir also says, okay, you can find references in several poets, Ramayana, Mahabharata, okay? So communication has been fundamental element of every human civilization. The primary focus in Indian tradition of communication is an inward search of meaning, ठीक है, a process leading to self awareness, then to freedom, and finally to truth. So when we look at several religions, ठीक है, Buddhism, Jainism, ठीक है, Hinduism, the recent religion Sikhism, ठीक है. So the role of communication in Indian context has been to look inward, ठीक है, spirituality, to get into a state where we feel liberated, ठीक है. So it has there been so word communication comes from Latin word communicare, which means to share and to the common. But in Indian context you can find a reference to communication to Natya Shastra, ठीक है, which uses the word sadharinikaran, ठीक है. We are going to discuss about it later. So the major theories and models from our so I am not claiming that I am teaching you Indian knowledge system. Indian knowledge system is something which we can't even learn for next 10 years, ठीक है. So there is a new branch of study which is becoming very relevant, Indian knowledge system. Have you heard about this thing? It is attracting a lot of funding these days. So all these bodies, ICSR, if you are interested in it and if you have some kind of previous knowledge, you can also take this as your field of study. So it includes all the knowledge systems, all the texts which emerged in ancient India, like Vedas, ठीक है, then our scriptures, Ramayana, Mahabharata, ठीक है, then Arthashastra, then several philosophical traditions of all these philosophies, Nyaya philosophies, all these things. So this is all part of Indian knowledge system. But I have some keen interest in studying all these things. But I am not claiming anything that I am teaching you this. We should be very careful while talking about all these things, because these are very sensitive things. You shouldn't be thinking that after watching a video or reading a research article you have learned anything about Indian knowledge system, ठीक है. कुछ भी पढ़ते हो, never use it just for the sake of it. बच्चे कुछ भी पढ़ते हैं फिर उसके वर्ड्स को गलत यूज़ करते हैं. आई एम जस्ट लेटिंग यू नो दैट बी हम्बल while studying, because there is a lot to learn. What I know right now is only 0.00001% of our subject. मैं जितना पढ़ता हूँ मुझे लगता है there is a lot to learn, ठीक है. So always remember what you know, it's just a pinch, you can say it's just a drop in the ocean, ठीक है. So major theories and models, जब मैं मेजर शब्द यूज़ लिख रहा हूँ मैं अपने एग्जाम के परस्पेक्टिव से बोल रहा हूँ, जो क्वेश्चंस पूछे गए हैं, ठीक है. यस सर, आई टॉट इन एन इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज where the subject was newly given through video lectures of SWAYAM platform. Very good, Rina, ठीक है. So the most important becomes the rasa theory, ठीक है. So when we talk about rasa theory, a seminal work, Natya Shastra, ठीक है, it is one of the oldest treatises on music and drama. It is also often regarded as a fifth Veda, ठीक है. So it is often said that it has like all the it has all the teachings of Vedas, ठीक है, into one book, ठीक है. हाँ सर, लोग आएंगे आंदोलन लेके. नो उसकी तो मुझे कोई चिंता नहीं है, बट मैं आपके लिए कह रहा हूँ, कोई वो भी नहीं. आपको एक तरह से इस बात का आभास होना चाहिए कि जो आप पढ़ रहे हो it's only a part of it, ठीक है. So it's a sum total of a lot of subjects. It's a lot of psychology, political science, then economics, English literature. Now Indian knowledge system is there, ठीक है. But you should have this thing in your mind कि भाई आप जो पढ़ रहे हो it's only a part of it, ठीक है. You have to look at it as a part of the sum whole, ठीक है. So earliest when we talk about Natya Shastra, it is one of the oldest treatise, मतलब one of the oldest work on how the grammar of drama, music, theater, elaborated chapters on costume designing, set designing, ठीक है. Elaborated chapters on bhavas, expressions, then sound, like what kind of musical instruments should be used to evoke what kind of emotion, ठीक है. So earliest Indian literature on music and drama written by Bharat Muni, it was written between 200 BC to 200 CE, ठीक है. Date is not defined. 36 chapters, 6,000 poetic verse. It talks about abhinay, acting, bhava or emotion, and rasa, the aesthetic pleasure. It is often regarded as the fifth Veda. So all the teachings of all the four Vedas, it is often said that they have been imbibed into this wonderful text. Okay. Then rasa theory. So rasa theory is the, in literal sense, जो juice होता है ना, nectar of fruit. ठीक है. So rasa is the ultimate emotional pleasure that can be derived from a work of art. जब आप कोई एक बहुत ही work of art देखते हैं, आपने प्ले देखा, आपने कोई किसी को गाना सुनते हुए देखा, ठीक है, आपने कोई पेंटिंग देखी, सो समथिंग हैपन्स इन योर बॉडी. ठीक है, अ फीलिंग ऑफ कैथारसिज्म. ठीक है, एक देयर इज सम काइंड ऑफ होता है ना कि आपने कुछ एक बहुत ही ज़्यादा वीर रस से, या आपने कोई ऐसा प्ले देखा, आप बोलते हो मेरे रोंगटे खड़े हो गए. ठीक है, सो इट्स द अल्टीमेट प्लेजर विच इज़ डिराइव्ड फ्रॉम द वर्क ऑफ आर्ट. ठीक है. So according to sage Bharata, the combination of different bhavas, vibhava, anubhava, satvika, vyabchari. So what are bhavas? Bhavas are expressions, ठीक है, which the performers performs during the play. और आप classical music में भी देखोगे भाव होते हैं. ठीक है, भाव they further leads to the raso utpatti, which is रस. Rasa utpatti is creation of rasa. So bhavas, they are carried by the performers, and this feeling which is transferred to the audience, which emerges in the form of rasas. ठीक है, it is rasa utpatti as the text suggests. When watching a piece of art, if your emotions aligns with that of the performer, the state of sahriday, ठीक है, has been achieved. So a state of communion where two people, जो आपको भाव उसने इवोक किया, सेम अगर आप भी फील कर रहे हैं, एक एक्टर है वो स्टेज के ऊपर रो रहा है, ठीक है, देयर हैज़ बीन अ डेथ इन द फैमिली एंड यू स्टार्ट टू इमोट विद दैट पर्टिकुलर कैरेक्टर, यू रीच इन द स्टेट ऑफ सहृदय. ठीक है, सहृदय, व्हेन टू बॉडीज दे कम इन अ स्टेट ऑफ कम्युनियन. ठीक है, it means so when the performer, what he or she is trying to convey, or let's say when your physical state or mental state gets to aligned with the state of the performer, that state is sahriday. ठीक है, so bhava, they are of three types, sthai, vyabchari, satvika. ठीक है, sthai, they are 33. You need not learn all these. ठीक है, this will be more detailed, so it's not required. I think if you wish you can go through them. I have already explained them in detail in our video in Indian School of Communication. You can go through it again. So remember this, that there are 9 rasas. ठीक है, 8 were given by Bharat Muni and 9th Shanta rasa was given by Abhinav Gupta. ठीक है, in his later interpretation of this text. ठीक है, then according to Indian rasa theory, the accomplishment of rasa is related to following. So this question has also a problem. ठीक है, vibhava, the Indian rasa theory accomplishment of rasa is the following. So vibhava is a kind of bhav. ठीक है, then anubhav and vyabchari. ठीक है, so these are 3 kinds of bhavas which we have talked about in our last slides. Okay, go through it, you will find more material. There is a whole lecture on Indian School of Communication, please watch that video. Okay, right now I am not in a state to further expand it because it has been already 2 hours. We are going to culminate it. Then another thing is spiritual interpersonal communication in Indian School of Communication, which is looking inwards or talking to the soul, supernatural, looking within in self. So different methods are used of meditation. ठीक है, which is one could be contemplation, which is manan, when we start looking inwards, when we start contemplating our state of mind, how are we feeling about. ठीक है, then other thing is shravan, listening to other people, the realization of self through shravan. मनन एंड निध्यासन विच इज डीप मेडिटेशन. ठीक है. सो द सेल्फ नॉलेज वॉज कंसिडर्ड टू बी द हाइएस्ट फॉर्म ऑफ नॉलेज बाय द वैदिक सेजेस. नोइंग योर सेल्फ, ठीक है, नोइंग द सोल. ठीक है. So it can be done through, first is Shravan, you can do it by listening to the good people, listening to your gurus. ठीक है. Other is Manan by contemplation. Fourth is through deep meditation. ठीक है, Nidhyad Asan. ठीक है. Then there are various types of communication, very important. First is Vekhari, which is speech, the use of words. This has to be seen in context of recital of all those mantras. ठीक है. तो पहले गुरु शिष्य परंपरा होती थी where they used to teach their disciples the Vedas. ठीक है. Vedas had a lot of hymns. ठीक है. और they used to this all tradition, this knowledge used to get transferred in guru shishya parampara through oral communication. ठीक है. So first was Vekhari, it is speech that operates through mouth. Then madhyama, which emerges through let's say breath. ठीक है. आप जिस तरह से बीच बीच में गैप्स लेते हैं बोलते वक्त, just the use of your breath while talking. ठीक है. Then pashyanti is spoken with eyes, so eye contact and all the emotions through your eyes. Pashyanti. ठीक है. Then para, it's not para, it's para, it's telepathic, materializing directly from faculty of awareness. ठीक है. So it's something which is metaphysical. ठीक है. So which comes it is the most, you can say, advanced stage of communication in Vedic communication. Vekhari, which is very simple, it is done through your mouth, through words. ठीक है. हम जब उच्चारण की बात करते हैं कि सही शब्दों का उच्चारण होना चाहिए, हर अल्फ़ाबेट का, हर एनोटेशन का. ठीक है. सो वैखारी इज उच्चारण. ठीक है, यूज ऑफ वर्ड्स. देन मध्यमा इज यूज ऑफ ब्रेथ और यूज ऑफ, यू कैन से, यूज ऑफ पॉजेस. ठीक है, इमर्जेस थ्रू योर नोज विया ब्रेथ. पश्यंती इज स्पोकन विद द आईज, सो व्हाट यू सी, हाउ यू परसीव थिंग्स. ठीक है. देन para is telepathic, so something which is metaphysical. ठीक है. You start to intuition also comes in para. ठीक है. You start to see things which are not easily you can say visible by the common people. ठीक है. Then Vedic mantras yield their deepest secret only when spoken simultaneously in 4 speeches. ठीक है. You can go through it. Vekhari, Madhyama, Pashyanti and para, how they are used during during recital of the Vedic mantras. ठीक है. So Vekhari is used, the spoken words, if you use the correct pronunciation, अगर आप अच्छे से उच्चारण करेंगे. ठीक है. Sing those words with all erudition and passion, so those mantras are sung. ठीक है. ये नहीं है कि उनको आप बोलते हो, there is a rhythm to it. सो मध्यमा, यूज ऑफ योर ब्रेथ, कहाँ पे आपको ऊपर लेके जाना है, कहाँ पे नीचे लेके जाना है, कहाँ पे पॉज करना है. ठीक है. देन कॉन्सेंट्रेट द prana, life force at your disposal, into single minded vision of your message, which is pashyanti. And fourth part, which is the most advanced stage, it is the in communication is the para, which is the metaphysical stage, when you surrender yourself while reciting those mantras, when you start to feel those mantras. ठीक है. start to feel that energy. ठीक है. that is the state of para. Following are the types of speech. So madhyama, para, pashyanti, this is not there, so this question has a problem. ठीक है. these 4 options are correct. Vekhari, this is not correct. So option A, B, C, E. So B, C is correct, but this would have been also correct. B, E and A, this option would have also been correct. ठीक है. ये 2022 में पूछा था. This question has a problem. This option was also correct, but I don't know whether people claimed it or not. ठीक है. चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Then Buddhist perspective of communication, mindful communication, he talks about the middle path. ठीक है. चाहे सुख हो, चाहे दुख हो, चाहे कोई इंसान बहुत अमीर हो, चाहे गरीब हो, one should avoid the extremes and find a balanced moderate approach to the life. ठीक है, so mindful, so later this was expanded by Senarath, ठीक है, S Senarath, in mindful communication, in which mindfulness can be developed by being constantly aware. इसमें आपको अपने डिफरेंट फिजिकल फॉर्म और अपनी बॉडी से अवेयरनेस होनी चाहिए. ठीक है, देर आर द अवेयर ऑफ 4 पर्टिकुलर एस्पेक्ट्स विच इज़ बॉडी पोस्चर. ठीक है, आपको अवेयर होना चाहिए कि आपका बॉडी पोस्चर कैसा है. अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल स्लाउच वाइल टॉकिंग. ठीक है, स्लाउचिंग इज बेंडिंग देयर बैक्स. Then a lot of times people are not making eye contacts. ठीक है, so they should be aware about their body posture, which is very important, because body posture actually decides the tone of your voice, the flow of your voice, the pressure of your voice, how the communication is going to take place. Then feelings, how you are feeling, whether you are feeling agitated, anxious, or you are very happy. So we are talking about mindful middle path. ठीक है, mindful communication. This was a paper. This is a citation. You can also read this paper if you wish. ठीक है, so then third is the state of the mind. So first was your body posture, second was your feeling, third is the current mental state. ठीक है, in that particular situation, what is your current mental state? Are you feeling depraved, or are you feeling greedy? Are you feeling angry? ठीक है, this was the feeling was emotive state. ठीक है, mind is what is going into your mind, what is your thought, what is actually the purpose. ठीक है, and fourth is the mind objects or hindrances. कि what is leading to let's say whether there are any mental hindrances to the concentration. Is it there something which is not letting you concentrate, or it is something which is bothering you from your past? Let's say you had a fight, you had a brawl at your place. ठीक है, और you have a loan to pay, आप उसके बारे में सोच रहे हो. So you have to be, it's a state in which a person has to be self aware. ठीक है, aware about their body posture, aware about their feelings, aware about their mental state, and aware about the mind objects which can sometimes be an hindrance in your concentration. ठीक है, लिए then साधारणीकरण model of communication. It is one of the recent additions in Indian communication studies. It was found in it was added in 2003 by Dr. Nirmal Mani Adhikari. Indian communication theories are rooted in Indian religion, Indian philosophy, and fine arts. The closest word to communication in Indian classical literature is साधारणीकरण. ठीक है, it was first used in 10th century commentary. ठीक है, so the नाट्य शास्त्र was written around 200 BCE to 200 CE, but later this word was used in 10th century commentary of नाट्य शास्त्र by the commentary was written by Abhinav Gupta. ठीक है, later it was interpreted. 10वीं शताब्दी में इसका एक इंटरप्रिटेशन आया था बाय अभिनव गुप्त. उसमें ये शब्द यूज़ किया गया था, द प्रिंसिपल सोर्स ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन. ठीक है, देन इसके बारे में हम बात कर चुके हैं. सो ही कम्स अप विद अ न्यू मॉडल ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन विच इज़ साधारणीकर मॉडल ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन. ठीक है, इट इज़ अ रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन प्रोसेस फ्रॉम हिंदू परस्पेक्टिव. सो व्हाट इज सहृदयता? इट इज़ अ स्टेट इन विच your mental states aligns with the state of the communicator. ठीक है, it is a core concept upon which meaning of साधारणीकरण resides. It is the state of common orientation, commonality, mutual understanding और oneness. ये देखो कितना beautiful concept है. अगर आप और मैं एक if we get कोई द्वंद्व ही नहीं होगा अगर if people use communication to reach to the point where there is mutual understanding. ठीक है, communication as a social function, if it is used for this purpose. ठीक है, आपके और मेरे बीच में कोई द्वंद्व है, we use communication, we use discourse to come, as Priyam is saying, on a ground of commonality. ठीक है, जहाँ पे आप थोड़ा मुझे समझेंगे, मैं आपको समझूंगा. ठीक है, then the communication becomes successful. ठीक है, so साधारणीकरण model comprises of following elements. It has a lot of similarities with Shannon and Weaver model. ठीक है, अगर आप देखोगे ना तो बहुत सारी similarities है इसकी Shannon and Weaver model के साथ. सहृदयस, प्रेक्षा is the sender, this is the sender and this is the receiver. प्रेक्षा and Prapaka. So Preksha is the sender, and Prapaka somebody who is receiving the message. So right now I am the Preshika. So I am speaking something, and right now you all are the Prapakas. You are प्राप्त कर रहे हो उसको, ठीक है. Then bhavas, moods or emotions. Right now my mood is happy, ठीक है, because I am talking to all of you. Then abhivanjana, expressions or encoding. How I am encoding my bhavas through my words, ठीक है. So I am encoding my words. This is called abhivanjana, ठीक है. Sandesh is the message. The message is being encoded to you through a sarani, which is a channel, ठीक है. What is the sarani here? It is internet. It is this smartphone. This YouTube is the sarani in our case. Then rasa vandana, decoding and interpretation. You guys are doing this part, ठीक है. Then there will be doshas, noises. How? Sometimes it can be technical dosha, that there is some technical issue. There can be some semantic noise, that some words I am speaking in Hindi and you don't know about those words, ठीक है. Then the next element is sandarbha, which is context, ठीक है. What is the context of our lecture? Say I am speaking something, somebody comes and cuts a 30-second clips of my video and post it somewhere. See, he's saying that you need not to prepare. Say I said I told you कि भाई you need not prepare everything. I'm saying that in right current context, कि जब only 10 days are left, I'm telling you that need not bother yourself with every learning everything. So इस कोई व्यक्ति सिर्फ 30 सेकेंड की क्लिप काट दे, he is saying that you need not study everything, you need only 70 marks or 80 marks. I am telling you this thing in a context which is right now, ठीक है. जो बच्चा, और मैं बार बार बोल रहा हूँ कि जो नए बच्चे हैं, मैं उनकी बात कर रहा हूँ कि परेशान होने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, आपको जितना पढ़ा है उतना ही रिवाइज कर लो. बट सो इट इज़ द संदर्भ, कॉन्टेक्स्ट. देन प्रतिक्रिया इज द फीडबैक. सो दिस इज द मॉडल and it has a lot of similarities with Shannon and Weaver model also. So this is Preshika and Pratpaka, ठीक है. Then this is Sarani, channel, ठीक है. Sandesh is the message. Then these are the bhavas, ठीक है. Pratikriya is the feedback, and it is circular, to and fro it is going on, ठीक है. So you can go through it. This is the context, this box. This is a really good element which he has added, which is this box. It talks about context, which a lot of other communication models were not talking about. Context becomes very important in the contemporary world, in the world of Twitter, in the world of YouTube, in the world of Facebook. Anybody can take a part of your communication. So what you are right now, you might not be the same 10 years from now. And if somebody this is happening right now, people are digging into people's older post, let's say Facebook, Instagram, and you might not be the same person. So that's why it's very crucial for all of you and sensitive, okay, what you write, express, or let's say you write a community post these days, or Facebook, some political opinion, people might dig it 10 years from now, and there might be a case that you might not be the same person, okay. So sandarbha is very important. So guys, that was all. Let us call this a day. And there are few questions which we have done in our चलो इस बार सॉल्व ही कर लो. Who is credited with constructing and developing साधारणीकरण model? It is निर्मल मणि अधिकारी, ठीक है. Then what is the साधारणीकरण model of communication primarily based on? Western communication theories, Hindu perspective, Islamic principles, Chinese philosophy, Hindu perspective, ठीक है. Then in the साधारणीकरण model of communication, who are सहृदयास, mood and emotions, sender and receivers, channel of communication, feedback process? The right answer would be sender and receiver, ठीक है. What does Sarani refers to in साधारणीकरण model of communication? This is sandarbh, this is bhava, ठीक है. This is pratikriya, ठीक है. The channel of communication is गुड, वेरी गुड. अच्छा आंसर्स आ रहे हैं, मुझे लगा आप इंटरेस्टेड नहीं है. सारानी इज द चैनल ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन, ठीक है. चलिए, व्हाट एलिमेंट इन द साधारणीकरण मॉडल रिप्रेजेंट्स द मैसेज और इंफॉर्मेशन बीइंग कम्युनिकेटेड? what element in the साधारणीकरण model represents the message or information being communicated? संदेश. ठीक है, चलिए. दोषाज आर द नॉइस, प्रतिक्रिया इज द फीडबैक. ठीक है, चलिए. ठीक है गाइस, दैट वाज ऑल. आई होप यू लर्न समथिंग. नाउ इट्स योर एक्सरसाइज. व्हाट यू हैव टू डू टुडे, यू हैव टू सॉल्व ऑल द क्वेश्चंस ऑन थ्योरीज. ठीक है, there is a test on our application, 100 theories, 100 question, 100 they all are PYQs. ठीक है, something which have been asked in exam on theory. जिसने पहले सॉल्व कर लिया दोबारा कर लेना. जो नए बच्चे हैं, जस्ट सबमिट द टेस्ट एंड गो थ्रू द एक्सप्लेनेशंस. इट इज़ सफिशिएंट फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू. ठीक है, एंड देन देर इज अनदर टेस्ट ऑन सेमियोटिक्स, ओनली ऑन सेमियोटिक्स. ठीक है, सॉल्व दैट टेस्ट ऑल्सो. read the PDFs. There will be one more test which I will upload today or tomorrow, whenever it happens. I'll inform you. And इसी तरह से हम 3-4 यूनिट्स और रिवाइज करेंगे. आई एम थिंकिंग अबाउट picking up unit 8 ICT and media next. We can do a complete revision of this 3-4 hours. ठीक है, अगर आप लोग चाहते हैं तो या आई कैन पिक some other unit 2. जो भी आपको ठीक लगता है आप मुझे बताइएगा कमेंट बॉक्स में. सो जिसकी ज़्यादा डिमांड होगी, आई विल ब्रिंग दैट टॉपिक नाउ. ठीक है, देन दैट्स ऑल. टेक केयर. आई होप यू आप सब बहुत अच्छे से रिस्पॉन्सेज दे रहे हैं. आई सी ऑल द इन्फॉर्म्ड रिस्पॉन्सेज इन द कमेंट बॉक्स एंड आई एम रियली वेरी हैप्पी. सो कीप वर्किंग हार्ड एंड यू ऑल आर गोइंग टू मेक इट वॉट एवर यू वॉन्ट. ठीक है, इफ़ यू फाउंड दिस वीडियो लेक्चर हेल्पफुल, you can like this video. If you have any doubt, you can write to me in the comment box. ठीक है, take care, bye.